Hello, and it's so nice for the opportunity to talk to you today. I'd like to discuss Parashat, and in Parashat, we go from being a nation of slaves to a nation of free men, or women, as the case may be. So let's talk about freedom. Let's talk about royalty. Let's talk about B'nai Melachim. So the Shem Yishmael explains that the phrase Ben Melech doesn't mean prince. Just like a Ben Torah is not the son of a Torah, and a Bas Mitzvah is not the daughter of a mitzvah, but a Ben Melech is somebody who encompasses royalty, represents Melucha. What does Melucha mean? So the word Melech is comprised of three letters, Mem, Lamed, Chaf, and it stands for Moach, Lev, Klayot. Sometimes people say Kaved, but really means intelligence, emotions, and instinct. A Melech is someone who stands up straight, whose head comes on top, his Lev comes in the middle, and his Klayot goes on the bottom. And that represents not only the fact that he physically or she physically stands that way, but that there's a gravity effect. A person's decisions start in their brain, go on to their heart, and then trickle down into their instinct. That's royalty. A royal person is somebody who thinks and then feels, and then it goes down into their deepest instincts. Now, this resonates very well with many of us because we like to be rational people. We like to think that our brain is in charge. The problem with this is that people sometimes forget that we're discussing three sections of a human being. There's a brain, a heart, and an instinct. Sometimes we act so intellectual and rational and thinking, we're so in charge of our emotions and in control of our emotions that we become almost non-emotional. Now, everyone understands that if emotions go first, that's a problem. That's not a melech. That's something sort of mixed up. And if our instincts come first, that totally switches us upside down, and that stands for kaleim, klima, an embarrassment. But what about someone whose emotions are right where they are in the middle, and their instincts are on the bottom, and their head's on top, except that they may be where they are, but they're not being used where they are. What do I mean? I mean people who are so rational, they forget that they have emotions and instincts. That's not a melech, mem, lamed, chaf. I like to call it someone who's super rational, super intellectual, but doesn't have their heart and their instincts as part of it. That's not a full person. That's only a piece of a person. Do you know how a pearl is made? A pearl is made by taking a piece of bacteria or a sand, not that I take it, but it gets into an oyster, it annoys the oyster, and an oyster emits some sort of stuff that it's got, and it wraps around this white enamel around a piece of bacteria or sand until it creates something over many years which becomes a pearl. If you don't have the sand or the bacteria on the inside, you don't have the pearl on the outside. And I think that's a beautiful mashal for a human being. We all have things inside our personality that irks us. And that's part of us and will always be inside of us. But when we take our higher selves, our better selves, and we put it on top and wrap it around, then that creates a pearl. Rachok mipninim mechra. That's malchus. This whole entire parsha is about being a Ben Melech. We come to the Korban Pesach, and there's so many mitzvos about how we're supposed to behave at the Korban Pesach because that's what makes us into a Ben Melech. We recline, we can't have leftovers, we can't break the bone, lo lishbar etzem in HaPesach. We can't eat it raw. We can't take it outside. There's so many different halachos, even in the details of the halachos that we do in order to make sure we act like a Ben Melech. The whole idea of Parashat Bo is taking us from being slaves to Paro, slaves to ourselves, slaves to our desires, slaves to whatever it is that's making me not responsible and not in charge of myself, and turning us into a Ben Melech. The Melech is a pearl. A pearl has all different kinds of their personality. The bacteria, the sand, there's lots of not good stuff in all of us, but we know how to take our entire personality and have our brain, our moach on top, and that makes us into the most beautiful pearls that we can be. I look forward to learning more Torah with you, and I wish you a beautiful Shabbos.